Good morning, or I guess good afternoon or good evening, depending on what time you're watching this. This is Mrs. Gellenbeck, and I wanted to show you some tips, mostly focusing on using the fill handle, but then also a couple of equations that might help you for this is specifically spreadsheet assignment 3. But the fill handle is really what I want to focus on. The fill handle will save you so much time. So for instance, when you start spreadsheet number 3, it has you type in some initial numbers. Now, these are not the initial numbers. I didn't want to give away the answers anymore. So you're going to make sure you reference the direction sheet and use the numbers that are on the sheet. Mine are just for demonstration because I don't want you to just copy my answers. I want you guys to try this one on your own. But once you have the general data in there, it's really easy to use what's called the fill handle to fill some of the formulas. So I just want to demonstrate the fill handle really quick. It can be used to continue sequences or continue patterns. So let's say I want 500,000 here, enter, and I don't want this with decimals. And then let's say I'm going to do equals 500,000, so C4 plus 100. And then, I mean, you could keep typing that all the way down. You could even copy and paste that all the way down. But the fastest way to continue a pattern or sequence is to use the fill handle. So you would have this cell selected, hover over this bottom right corner, grab this little square, and then pull it down. And it continues adding $150 to the cell above it all the way down. And that was so much faster than having to type all that stuff in. So if I look down here, my formula was equals C12, so the cell right above it, plus 100. So you can use it to finish patterns like that. You can use it, we showed you in spreadsheet 2, 1 and or 2, how to use it to copy formulas, which basically is what we just did there. You can also use it for dates. So on a lot of like my half marathon training schedules, I'll have in the initial date. So let's say we're putting in today's date for 2020. Then let's say we were making a calendar. So for next week, we would want it to be today plus 7. That would be the week of, like say it was the week of. And then again, you can, once it sees a pattern there, so you have to get in at least 2 equations or formulas or numbers or whatever it may be. Select them both, use the fill handle. Actually, I don't even think you have to have them both selected. Yeah, for dates, you don't have to. So again, it's adding 7 days to each if you were doing like a week of to make a calendar. But if you were just counting, so maybe this was week 1, 2, 3, then you'll select a few so that the spreadsheet can kind of recognize your pattern, and then you can keep going down and it'll actually count for you as well. So I use the fill handle a lot. It will definitely save you a lot of time. So for instance, spreadsheet number 3, probably the most time you're going to spend is formatting it. So it should look similar to this. In fact, on sheet 1 was my actual template with my real data. So once you set spreadsheet 3 up, it should look something like this. Somewhere in the document it has you format as far as, I always want you to make it look somewhat visually pleasing, professional, customized. So it has you do some stuff. Oh, you already have that there. Okay. Last thing is on spreadsheet 3, it does have you do some formulas, and it wants you to increase. So it gives you the numbers for January, and then it wants you to increase it by 1% each period. So February, March are going to be 1% higher than January. And I gave you the formula on this one, but there's a lot of different ways to increase something by 1%. Think of your algebra equations. There's probably 2 or 3 different ways you could do this. But to me, this is what I found to be the fastest. So I'm just going to copy and paste this. We'll go back here. So what it's telling you to do is for January and February to increase, whoops. Now that's not going to work. You need to know this. Every formula needs to start with an equal sign. Oops, it's putting it at the end. There we go. So for February, what you're telling it right here is that whatever data was in January, you want to increase it by 1%. So again, there's a couple different equations you could use. I found this one to be the easiest. You hit enter. Now I forget what this, I think this spreadsheet does have you format financial, so 2 decimals and no symbol. So I'm going to go back here. Yeah, that's right. Now remember, if your columns aren't wide enough to see the data, you need to widen them a little bit. So depending on, and these are different fonts, which I don't like. So I would change my font to Courier, New to Calibri, so that those are the same, and it's bolded. I don't know what happened there. So these, oh, I actually didn't want you guys to see this information. I'm going to go back. I'm going to do it over here on my pretend data. So I'll just go ahead and type this in. You're doing equals whatever's in B4 times 101%. Now you could also do 1.01 as a decimal, because I know you've learned that in math. Hit enter. So it increased this number by 1%. And then again, don't forget about your fill handle. You can drag this down, and actually you can drag it over as well, because in this problem I have you, and no, that's not going to work. So if you read the directions, I want, see, for San Fran, you predict a 1% increase in sales from the month before. Oh yeah, that's fine. So look how fast you can do this. You can actually literally drag this all the way over. I mean, you're almost done with this spreadsheet. So it's each month, it's going to increase the previous month by 1%. So in April, it's increasing the previous month by 1%. Okay, so please, please, please use the fill handle. It saves you so much time as long as you have the formula in there correctly. And then you're going to finish spreadsheet 3, follow the directions. You're going to get some totals over here using formulas, some totals down here using formulas, some totals down here using formulas. And then finally, and this is really what I'm checking, this number right here should be your total sales, and it needs to be a formula. Okay, message me with questions, and hope you guys are doing well.